Hello dear students, we are starting with the next chapter of chemistry, general principles and processes of isolation of elements, that is chapter 6 of part 1 chemistry. This chapter is basically dealing with how can we extract the metals from the minerals or rather ores which we extract from the crust of the earth. This branch of chemistry which deals with the extraction of metals is known as metallurgy. So instead of such a big name of the lesson, we'll just call it as metallurgy. Okay. Now in the beginning part of the chapter, the entire history has been given as to how it was found in India in the ancient times and all, and then after the rulers came to India, then what happened to all the mines and all that. So there is a big stuff, 2 pages entire regarding the history that we will take later on. Actually in that only whatever important things are there from exam point of view, that only we will take into consideration. The main part of the chapter which starts after this is about the extraction. So it starts with ores and minerals. In class 10 children, you have seen what are ores and what are minerals. So what are minerals? Basically they are the part of the earth, that is the crust of the earth, which contains the metal either in the free state, that is the native state, or in the combined state. Combined state means in the compound form. So any part of the earth's crust which contains the metal or its compound is known as a mineral. And then what is an ore? Ore is that mineral from which the metal can be extracted profitably and it is feasible to extract that metal. So what does that mean actually? It means that all the minerals may not have a high content of the metal. So those minerals which have a very small quantity of metal, we can't extract the ore from that. Means it will be not economically possible. We are giving more input and not getting much output. So it is not possible to extract the metal from such a mineral where the percentage is less. Also some metals are present in different compound form in different minerals. So such minerals are used from which the metal can be extracted feasibly. It is feasible to do so. So only those minerals which are utilized to extract the metal are known as ores. So that is the difference between an ore and a mineral. Now there are certain important ores whose composition we have to study. So there are main 4 metals which we are going to see here: aluminium, iron, copper and zinc. Out of which aluminium is the most abundant metal in the earth's crust. It is the 3rd most abundant element in the earth's crust, and among metals it is the most abundant metal. After aluminium comes iron. So iron is the 3rd most abundant metal in the earth's crust. Okay. So then we have to see the important ores of these metals and their composition. So aluminium will take at the last, and we will start with iron, copper and zinc. Why to start with iron, copper and zinc? Because their names, we will see some similarity, we will see some differences, and how to remember the composition. The first one is iron, and iron has hematite, magnetite, siderite and iron pyrite. Like this 4 ores are there. Now hematite, the word heme is associated with iron. We know hemoglobin. In hemoglobin the important metal content is iron, and so the name is hemoglobin. Hematite, we'll remember that iron is valency 2+. It is an oxide ore. Children, remember that there are 3 main compounds which the metals they form. They may be present either as oxides or as carbonate or as sulfides. So here whatever we are going to see, they will be either carbonate, oxide or sulfide. So the first one, hematite, iron valency 3+, not 2+. It is 3+. Oxide, we know it is having charge 2-. So the formula will be Fe2O3. Then magnetite is a combination of Fe2+ and Fe3+. So the formula will be Fe3O4. You combine the 2 formulas of oxide of ferrous and ferric. FeO Fe2O3, make a total, it becomes Fe3O4. Then pyrite, remember pyrite is a sulfide ore, so it will be FeS2. Now oxide is over, sulfide is also over. What remains is carbonate. So siderite is a carbonate ore, so it will be FeCO3. So iron has mainly 4 ores: hematite, magnetite, siderite and iron pyrite, out of which hematite and magnetite are oxide ores. This is Fe2O3, this is Fe3O4, and iron pyrite is FeS2, siderite will be carbonate ore, FeCO3. Let us come on to copper now. Copper also has 4 ores: copper pyrite, malachite, cuprite and copper glans. So like we ended with iron pyrite, we start with copper pyrite. Just put Cu in front of this formula, FeS2. So it becomes Cu FeS2, that is copper pyrite. Malachite, you can remember, malachite is a shade of green color, malachite green. And this shade of green is that which is found on the surface of corroded copper. Children, you know, on the surface of copper, when corrosion takes place, it forms a green color layer. And that green color layer, we have studied in class 10, that it is hydrated copper carbonate, means CuCO3 dot CuOH twice. So this is malachite, and from the shade of green, we'll remember like that. And this is the corroded compound which is found on the surface of copper. Then copper glans is also sulfide ore, it will be Cu2S. Then cuprite, sulfide is over, here also sulfide over, carbonate over, so remains is cuprite. Children, here I wanted to add one thing, that copper mostly exists in the valency. There are 2 valencies of copper, cuprous and cupric. So most of the aqueous compounds of copper, they exist as 2+ valency. Cu plus is very unstable, so it is found only in a few compounds, and here we can see the copper with valency +1. Okay, so that is worth remembering here. And then zinc blende, calamine, you have studied in class 10. Zinc blende is zinc sulfide, and calamine board, it resembles with carbonate, so it should be zinc carbonate, and the remaining one is zincite, that is zinc oxide. So in this way you can remember the different compositions of the important ores which are there in our syllabus. The remaining is aluminium, it is bauxite ore. Now bauxite ore has a variable composition. The general composition of a bauxite ore can be written as AlOX OH 3 minus 2x. This is the general formula of the bauxite ore. In some books you may come across Al2O3 dot 2H2O or dot XH2O. So it is having a variable composition. Kaolinite or clay is also an ore of aluminium, and it is represented by Al2O3 dot SiO2 dot 2H2O. In your NCERT textbook, the total of this formula has been given, but instead of that we can write this also. It will become easy for you to remember in this way. So these compositions you should know, the name of the ores you should know. Sometimes it comes in the board exam, so you have to remember this. After this we are going to start with the next part of the chapter, that is extraction of ores. What are the main steps for the extraction of the metal from the ore? So let us continue further with the metallurgy part. Metallurgy of a metal, that is extraction of metal. It is basically distributed into 3 steps. The first step is concentration of the ore. It is also known as benefaction of ore, or it is also known as dressing of ore, or it is also known as enrichment of ore. So what does concentration of ore means? To concentrate the ore. Now how do we concentrate? If we remove the unwanted things, then we can concentrate the ore. So removing of the unwanted things means the earthy matter which is present. It may be sand, it can be mud, it can be stones. So all that earthy matter from the ore we remove. So the ore will become concentrated in the metal compound only or the metal only. This process is known as concentration of ore. The second step is isolation of the metal. Now when the metal is present in any type of compound form, then we have to convert that compound into the metal. That process is known as isolation of metal. And the third step is the purification of metal. So in these two steps, there may be some chemical processes which we may carry out on that ore or on the metal compound. So in order to, so the metal may get contaminated with certain chemicals in the process of extraction. So we need to remove all those impurities by purification of the metal. So we now move on to the first step, that is concentration of ore. Just now as we have seen that concentration means removal of the unwanted earthy particles, that is the soil, crust, etc. So that all particles are there, they are known as gangue. This all you have studied in class 10th also. So removal of gangue particles from ore is known as concentration of the ore. Now concentration of ore, it depends mainly on the difference in physical and chemical properties of ore and the gangue particles. Whatever is the physical property difference or the chemical property difference between the ore particles, that is a metal compound, and the gangue particles, the property is based on that. So we can say there can be physical methods. These methods will be based on the difference in the physical differences between ore and gangue, and there will be chemical method. Now physical methods, there are three types. One is hydraulic washing. The second is froth flotation process. And third is magnetic separation. And the chemical method, it involves leaching. This we will see in the next class. Today in this class we are going to see mainly the physical methods, which is based on the difference in the physical property of the ore particle and the gangue particle. The first one is hydraulic washing. You have to remember the principle of each method. Short questions are asked, 1 mark sort of questions are asked. So very small things you have to remember in this entire lesson. Hydraulic washing, the principle is the ore and the gangue particles, they have different gravities, heaviness. So they are separated on the basis of these densities or basis of the specific gravity. So a slope is made, which is a zigzag slope, not a zigzag we can say, but it is having many bends in it. And then the ore particles are put on this surface and a stream of water is allowed to pass through it. Okay, the stream of water is running from down to up. So water is sprayed from the downside. Now whatever lighter particles will be there in the ore, that is the gangue particles are lighter, much lighter than the ore particles. So they will get washed off. And only the ore particles which will be there, it will remain there in these groups. So this is known as hydraulic washing. It is based on the difference in the densities or the specific gravities of the ore and the gangue particles. So density is a physical property. So it is based on the difference in the physical properties. Let us see the last one also, then we will discuss the froth flotation process. In the magnetic separation, there is a conveyor belt which is attached to a roller. Here one roller, here another roller. Now this belt moves on to this roller, and this is a magnetic roller. Means this wheel is magnet and this is a non-magnet. Now when ore is dropped from here, the belt is continuously moving, so the ore will get passed to this magnetic roller. Now whichever magnetic impurities will be there here, magnetic ore will be there, it will stick to this part of the wheel. And those which are non-magnetic properties will be left. So they will be dropping down over here. They will not get attracted towards the magnet. Whereas the ore particles which are magnetic in nature, they will be sticking to this, and when they come here, then the magnetic field decreases, the roller is continuously moving. So when they come into this area, there is no longer that hold of the magnet, so they will also drop here. So in this way, the non-magnetic impurities, that is gangue particles, they will be removed like this, and the magnetic substance will be dropping down here. So this method is mainly used for iron or iron type of materials which have magnetic property. So this is magnetic separation. And the third one, very important one, is the froth flotation method. Now froth is, all of you know, foam. When we put soap in water and we shake it, we get foam. So that is froth. Froth has air trapped in it. And flotation, so froth will float on the surface. So here soap is not used, but we are using a mixture of oil and water. And this method is used for the separation of sulfide ores. Remember children, which type of ores are separated by this method? Sulfide ores. And what is used? Oil-water mixture. Now when oil and water will be agitated or churned, so what will happen? Froth will form. Now this froth will be for a fraction of time, and it will burst. The froth, it keeps on bursting. So we need to keep the froth intact. So froth stabilizers are added. And these froth stabilizers, examples are aniline and cresol. You have to remember the name of the examples, what are stabilizers and their examples. Okay, so what is the stabilizer? When the froth is formed by agitation, so this froth which is there, in order to stabilize it, some stabilizer is added, like aniline and cresol. Second thing is added is collectors. Now let us see what is the role of collector. Now we have seen that these are physical methods based on the difference in property of gangue and ore. So here, what is the difference in the property of the gangue and ore? Gangue particles become wet by water. Here water is there. And ore particles get wet by the oil layer. Oil layer will be above where froth will be formed. So all the ore particles will go into the froth layer. Gangue particles will go down in the water. They will settle down. Now they will be trapped in this froth, the ore particles. The one role is of froth stabilizer. Froth should be intact so that the all ore particles are there. And second role is of collectors. Collectors, they increase the non-wettability of the ore in water. Means they will become more wet by oil and not by water. So collectors are added. These collectors may be pine oil, they may be fatty acid, or they may be xanthates. So mixture of pine oil, water, collectors, stabilizer, everything is added, ore is added, and it is agitated. Due to the agitation, froth will form, ore particles will go into the froth, gangue particles will settle down, and then the froth is slowly collected and removed. It is dried, and then later on the ore particles you get separately. Then sometimes it may happen, this method is used for the sulfide ore, right? So sometimes it may happen that there are two different sulfides of two different metals, like for example lead sulfide and zinc sulfide. So this lead sulfide and zinc sulfide, we don't want both of them. We want only one of the sulfide in the froth. So then depressant is added. Depressant is that substance which will allow only one metal sulfide to come in the froth. For example, if we have lead sulfide and zinc sulfide, and if we put NaCN in this mixture, then only lead sulfide will be able to come in the froth and not zinc sulfide. Zinc sulfide will remain in the water layer only. So that is the role of the depressant. So here we finish the physical methods of concentration of the ore. One is hydraulic washing, magnetic separation we have seen, and the froth flotation process we have seen. So very small type of questions are asked from this part. What are collectors, what are stabilizers, what is froth flotation, principle of this method. Kindly go through the text also in very, go it thoroughly and note down all these important things. Even the principle of magnetic separation, hydraulic washing, for which type of ores it is used, all those things you have to go through. Leaching we'll see in the next class.